Peace, power, and prosperity, my beautiful family. This is ordained metaphysical minister Corbin reporting live. It is always a pleasure and a blessing for y'all to tune in. You see the title. You see the title at hand, not I, but the Father. For a lot of you who went to church, for a lot of you who know and are studied in the Bible, you know the scripture. Not I, but the Father. I want you, before I go in, because I'm definitely going to go in this video, I want you to focus once again on the title. Not I, but the Father was the words given to us by our brother, Christ. I'm going to read something before I read something even greater. This can be found in John 12, verse 49. This is Christ. For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father who sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say and what I should speak. For some of you, you know the old school saying that says, your mama call you Jimmy, so I'ma call you Jimmy. Our brother Christ, Yeshua was his name. His mother named him that, so I'm going to call him Yeshua, who the Greeks later on named Jesus. His biggest message, my beautiful family, was all these great works that I am bringing to you, all these great works, the raising of your consciousness, showing you that you can do greater works than me. Do not give me credit for this, because it is not me. If I tell you, it's a bald-faced lie. But it's the Father within me. That same Father that is within me, family, is within you. Now, somewhere along the pipelines, it went from listening to our brother to worshiping him. So can you imagine somebody coming down 2,000 years ago and raising the consciousness of a people who conscious level fell so low, left an imprint, or I like to use the word impulse, Christ's impulse to be exact, and instead of doing the great works, his people worship him, did the total opposite of what he said to do. You praise Yeshua, or who you call Jesus, when he said, and I quote, for I have not spoken of myself, but the Father who sent me. He always spoke about the Father. And let me say this right quick before I read this beautiful diamond that you are about to receive through your chakras. Let me say this. I am a metaphysician, minister in metaphysics, soon to be a doctor. The origins of metaphysics started as Christian science. There's a science to your Christianity, family. Some of you don't know it. Christ was a mystic. He wasn't a religious person. His biggest message to you was that it was you. It's always going to be you. If you fall victim to this illusion, to the media, to technology, to putting stress on yourself that you don't even need to put on. Some of you, you drain your energy, you take away from you to give to others. And then when others don't reciprocate that, or anchor that, or reflect that, then your energy is drained with no excuse and you blame the wrong person. Christ has always been within you. The longer you live, you will understand that. And for those who are really tuned in to Christ, you will understand it because it is an impulse within you. Remember once again, not I, but the Father, When those blessings come, not I, but the Father. When you are overcoming those obstacles that you thought you would never overcome, that stagnation that you never thought you would get out of, but at the end you knew you were going to get out of it. It wasn't you. It was the Father within you. So without holding too much time, my beautiful family, I told you I'm going to keep on giving you proof and proof as a Christ consciousness being myself, to let you know, to reawaken you that your power at this time is needed for this shift that is happening in this planet. All of you who are watching and those who are not even watching, your power is here now. Know Christ. Faith was a crutch. Your leg broken. Listen, temporarily you need a crutch until you can, now you're strong. Now you can walk on both legs again. Faith is that. But once you know God, you can walk on both legs. Family, please listen up to this gem. Because after this reading tonight, you're going to have a better connection. I promise you, you're going to have a better connection to the Father within. This, what I'm about to read, is from 1916. Once again, what I'm about to read to you, this gem that is now yours, is from 1916, only a few years after the Titanic. Family, please listen up. This is your proof that you are greater. Throughout all his teachings, Jesus tried to show those who listened to him how he was related to the Father, and to teach them that they were related to the same Father in exactly the same way. Over and over again, he tried in different ways to explain to them that God lived within them, that he was and I quote, God of the living and not of the dead, end quote. And never once did he assume to do anything as himself. And never once did he assume to do anything as of himself. Always saying, and I quote, of my own self I can do nothing. The Father that dwelleth in me, he doeth the works, end quote. But it was very hard then for people to understand, just as it is very hard for us to understand today. There were in the person of Jesus two distant regions. There was the fleshly mortal part, which was Jesus, the Son of Man. Then there was the central, living, real part, which was the Spirit, the Son of God. That was the Christ, the anointed. So each one of us has two regions of being. One, the fleshly, mortal part, which is always feeling its weakness and insufficiencies in all things, always saying, and I quote, I can't. And then at the very center of our being, there is something which in our highest moments knows itself more than conqueror over all things. Knows itself more than conqueror over all things. It always says, and I quote, I can and I will, end quote. It is the Christ child, the Son of God. It is the Christ child, the Son of God. The anointed in us, the anointed in us. Call no man, and I quote, call no man your father upon the earth, said Jesus. For one in your Father, which is in heaven, the temple, the body within, the true body. He who created us, listen family, this is yours now. He who created us did not make us and set us apart from himself as a workman makes a table or a chair and puts it away as something completed and only to be returned to the maker when it needs repairing. Not at all. God not only created us in the beginning, but he is the very fountain of life ever abiding within us. From this fountain constantly springs new life to recreate these mortal bodies. He is the ever-abiding intelligence which fills and renews our minds. His creatures would not exist a moment were he to be or could he be separated from them. Let me repeat that one more time. His creatures, me and you, his creatures would not exist a moment were he to be or could he be separated from them. And I quote again, ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them. I'm just going to keep on reading. Let us suppose, this is 1916, by the way. Let us suppose that a beautiful fountain is supplied from some hidden but inexhaustible source. At its center, it is full of strong, vigorous life, bubbling up continually with great activity. But at the outer edge, the water is so nearly motionless, and to have become impure and covered with scum. Talk about the flesh. This exactly represents man. He is composed of a substance infinitely more subtle, more real than water. And I quote once again, we are also his offspring. End quote. Man is the offspring or the springing forth into visibility of God. That sounded so good, I want to say it again. You and me, family, man, woman, man is the offspring or the springing forth into visibility of God, the Father. At the center, he is pure. At the center, he is pure spirit, made in the image and likeness of the Father, substance of the Father, one with the Father, fed and renewed continually from the inexhaustible good, which is the Father. Quote one more time. Quote one more time. In him we live, move, and have our being. Once again, when you stressing, when you think you're going through some stuff, when it's really an illusion, I know it feels real in this Maya illusion, but once again, this is the scripture, it says this, and I quote, in him we live, move, motion, and have our being. Quote, end quote. At the outer edge where stagnation has taken place, which is in man's body, there is not much that looks godlike in any way. Once again, at the outer edge where stagnation has taken place, which is man's body, there is not much that looks godlike in any way. We get our eyes fixed on the circumference or external of our being. We lose consciousness of the indwelling, ever active, unchanging God at the center, and we see ourselves sick, weak, and in every way miserable. It is not until we learn to live at the center, my family, and to know that we have power to radiate from that center, this unceasing, C-E-S-I-N-G, unceasing, abundant life, that we are well and strong. I ain't got too much longer. I thank y'all for y'all patience and your ears. Jesus kept his eyes away from the external altogether. Jesus Christ, Yeshua, his mama called him Jimmy. I'm going to call him Jimmy. His mama called him Yeshua. I'm going to call him Yeshua. Yeshua kept his eyes away from the external altogether and kept his thoughts at the central part. Let me read that again. Yeshua, the one you call Jesus, kept his eyes away from the external. That means outside altogether. He didn't focus on this world. And he kept his thoughts at the central part of his being, which was the Christ. And I quote once more, judge not according to appearances, End quote, he said. That is according to the external. But judge righteous judgment. Discernment is the word you're looking for. Discernment. And I'm almost done. But judge righteous judgment according to the real truth or from spirit. And Yeshua, the one you call Jesus, the Christ or the central spark, which was God, the same that lives in each of us today, was drawn forth to show itself perfectly over and above the body or fleshly man. He did all his mighty works, talking about Christ. Christ did all his mighty works, not because he was given some great or different power. Listen up, family, because this is your story. We almost done. I'm almost done, but this is your story. Christ did all his mighty works, not because he was given some greater or different power from that which God has given us. Oh no, not because he was in some different way a son of God and we only children of God. Oh no. But just because this same divine spark, which the Father has implanted in every child born, has been fanned into a bright flame by his prenatal influences, early surrounding, and by his own later efforts in holding himself in constant conscious communion with the Father, the source of all love and life and power. To be tempted does not mean to have things come, to which, however much they may affect others. Let me read that again, I promise you. We're almost done. To be tempted does not mean to have things come to you, which however much they may affect others, do not at all affect you because of some superiority in you. It means to be tried, to suffer, and to have to make effort to resist. Paul speaks of Jesus as one tempted in all points, like as we are. Once again, Paul speaks of Jesus as one tempted in all points like as we are. Stop going so hard on yourself. What I mean is stop blaming yourself. Stop being too hard on yourself. Paul speaks of Jesus, and I quote, as one tempted in all points like as we are. And Jesus himself confessed to having been tempted when he said to his disciples, and I quote, ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations. That's what Christ said to his disciples. Did you know that? He said, ye are they which have continued with me in my temptations. Let's keep on going. The humanity of the Nazarenes, or the Essenes, look them up if you don't know them. The humanity of the Nazarenes suffered being tempted or tried just as much as you and I suffer today because of temptations and trials in exactly the same way. We know that during his public ministry, Jesus spends hours of every day alone with God, and none of us knows what he went through in all the years of his early manhood, just as you and I are doing today in overcoming the mortal, his fleshly desires, his doubts, and fears, until he came into this perfect recognition of this indwelling presence, this Father in me, to whom he ascribed the credit for all his wonderful works. He has to learn as we are having to learn. He had to hold fast as we are having today to hold fast. He had to try over and over again to overcome as we are doing, or else he was not, and I quote, tempted in all points like we are, end quote. Beautiful family, know your power. Christ is here. The Pentecost is here. The light is being given. The light is being exposed. Know your light. Peace and love. Minister Corbin out.